Hi, it's Mayor David Stahl. Welcome to another edition of Totally East Brunswick. We have a new school superintendent here in East Brunswick, Dr. Victor Valeski. I thought it was important for you all to meet and get to know someone who's so responsible for our school system. So Dr. Valeski, I welcome you to East Brunswick.
Thank you.
I know you and I have had an opportunity to talk many times, but as I just indicated, I think it's very important for the residents, particularly those with school children, to have an opportunity to learn a little bit more about yourself. You are, as I said, new to East Brunswick with Dr. Magister retiring after so many years. Why don't you first just give us a description of your background, both in education and a little bit about the family.
Okay. I came from what most people would probably consider a non-traditional route. I actually started off in the private sector working in accounting, so I had a business background. But then over a period of time, I had an interest in running for the local school board for the school that my children attended. And I have to share with you, I had a very unsuccessful bid for the school board. But after I lost the school board election, I got a call from the school superintendent, and they were looking for a new director of finance for the school district. And that opportunity actually occurred about a year after the school board election. So I did express interest in it, and ultimately was given that position. And so I started my career in education about 22 years ago. Over a period of time, I viewed myself as being a lifelong student. So I wanted to understand how schools operated. I wanted to understand not only the financial aspect of schools, but how the teaching aspect occurred. So I basically invested myself in a lot of activities in the school and a lot of professional development. And I showed up in opportunities where people traditionally didn't see a finance director, working with teachers, working beside them in professional development, and going and visiting their classrooms. And ultimately, my superintendent at the time suggested I go back to school and get my doctorate in education. And so after some thought, I did that. And you know, that kind of started me on the path of administration from a different perspective. So that was really the catalyst that started me off.
Do you think that, because that is a unique background, not
Right.
going, as you said, the traditional route is starting as whether it's a teacher or in administration or after that. Do you think that's giving you the ability to examine things maybe from a different viewpoint than what one would call the traditional look?
Yes, because I think that there are so many things that I learned from my private sector experience that I can apply to the organizational structure of a school district. That being said, though, I have to share that I completely understand that schools are unique entities, and an educational institution still has to have that feel and that flavor that it's unique in that respect. That it's just not purely a business model that applies all the time. But certainly organizationally, I think there are some opportunities for us to improve efficiency and to build relationships with people outside of our organization, especially with the township, where my business experience comes into play.
Well, let's talk about unique, and I agree with you that not only is every school district unique, but I think the schools within the school district are also unique. Here in East Brunswick, we have so many different elementary schools, and then obviously when you get to the middle and junior high schools,
Right.
when we have the centralized schools. So how have you found, if that's the right term, unique, what have you noticed about in your time here, the differences between the different schools?
Well, I can tell you that going to back to school nights, and I've actually been to 4 so far, all elementary so far. But each building has its own culture, its own feel, and the parents too, I think represent the students that are in that population. East Brunswick represents a lot of diversity, and I think we have to respect that, and we have to acknowledge that diversity. I think that better prepares every student for what we expect of them in the 21st century. Because as they move into a global economy, a global environment, they're going to be dealing with people not only nationally but internationally. So I think that sensitivity is really important, and developing that in our students.
Well, I commend you for going to back to school, because I think one of the leaders like yourself is not only just dealing with the administrative side of running a school district, no different from the mayor running the town, so to speak.
Right.
But we actually have to be out there in the community, because I think it gives us the ability to get a sense of what is it that, you know, in my case, the residents, what they're looking for in terms of missile services, but it also gives you an understanding of what the parents may be looking for in terms of the education of their children, as well as the teachers as to what tools they may need.
Right. I think one of the things that I'm trying to reinforce to all of the teachers and to parents as we move into the start of the school year is the visibility is just the first part of what I want the feel and the tone of my time at East Brunswick to be. I want to basically break down barriers. I want to take the walls down, and I say that metaphorically because obviously we all have offices, but I want to not only be accessible to people, I want them to be able to have candid conversations with me. And one of the things, just like your television format here, trying to open up our website and create a community connection on our website where parents can actually email me any concerns or questions they have, and then we'll filter those centrally to the appropriate administrators, whether it be in the central office or a building, getting timely and accurate answers to parents, because I think information is really powerful.
Information technology, I know that's one of, in our conversations, one of your really highlight of your background.
Right.
What do you see in terms of advances that you may want to take here in East Brunswick with respect to technology?
Well, it's interesting because the district undertook an independent survey of the district's technology. So it was a very comprehensive look at what we were doing, what we needed to do differently to really prepare our students for the 21st century. And they looked at it in two perspectives, and schools are unique this way. We have operational technology and we have instructional technology. Operational technology aside, what really impacts students is that instructional technology, and it impacts teachers as well. So the idea is, how do we advance, how do we get closer to providing our students with a technology that many of them have right in their own homes. They have powerful networks at their homes, they have powerful devices, they're used to that, they're used to responsive technology. And everyone knows as we move into this, our children, our younger children, are certainly becoming very astute with technology at a much earlier age. So how do we keep up with that? And I think it's a matter of investment of technology in terms of resources, but also training our teachers on how to deal with this new technology. And in some cases, it may be flipping the classroom where you turn the power over to the students. They can show other people in the classroom things that are really powerful they might know about. So we have hardware we have to purchase, we have infrastructure we have to provide, policies we have to put in place. And unfortunately, when you adopt a new technology or technology, there's always a chance for misuse. So it's about education for not only the students but their parents about what the technology is capable of. And I think in all cases, parents need to monitor what their children are doing at home with the technology.
Absolutely. And I've also found in my life that, you know, technology is becoming so relevant in our life. I mean, so much is done, even my own practice as a lawyer, you know, more and more demands are put upon us to do everything electronically, particularly with respect to courts. But I think there's also a negative side of that, particularly with children or young students, in that they get so involved in technology, they forget the human contact, they forget the relationships that need to develop. So I think that's always a tough thing to deal with, and I think that's one of the importance of, let's take the sports or the arts programs, to keep them involved and almost away to some extent from machines.
Right. Oh, I think the arts and the athletics are so important in making us rounded individuals and offering those opportunities to students so they become better citizens later on in life. I know my youngest is 6 years old, and our punishment to him is taking away his iPad. So that's devastating, but it does modify his behavior when he doesn't get his iPad for a day. But you know, sometimes you have to stop them and say, enough, time to go outside, time to play. And that socialization is so important, because learning skills like how to deal with each other, how to resolve conflicts, how to build teams, how to follow a leader, all of those things, even taking on a task that you're really uncomfortable doing, that you have to master. And sometimes you fail, sometimes you succeed, but from that failure comes opportunities for greater growth.
Look, East Brunswick, we know, has always been very strong in education. That's a reason why many people moved to our town. And you know, New Jersey Monthly Magazine came back out with recent ratings, and East Brunswick's done very, very well.
Right.
What do you attribute that to?
I think You know, as our board president, Dr. Brad Cohen, said at Back to School Nights, we have great administrators, we have great teachers. The district has done a phenomenal job of putting the right people in the right positions, but I think the one piece that really defines how well East Brunswick is parents. Parents and families. Our students represent what those families represent. And you walk into a school, and what I've been so impressed about with East Brunswick is you walk into any building, and the level of respect that you witness and you observe is so high. I mean, everything is just seamless the way it operates, and it's primarily because the students behave in a way that's expected of them. I know we talked today in just a professional development about setting high standards for students, and if you set high standards, they will rise to that level of achievement, and I think that's very, very true. So I think families play a huge role in the success of our school district.
I agree with you. I mean, I think families, you know, in their own homes help with the education process, as well as getting involved through the PTAs and also the East Brunswick Education Foundation, which I think is probably, you know, throughout the state, probably a leader in providing additional fundings and grants for the schools.
Right. I think the foundation and the leadership of the foundation is phenomenal. I mean, they are deeply invested in providing resources and opportunities for teachers and students. They do a great job of raising money, and they are trying hard to give that money back to the school in a methodical and organized way that is aligned with some district goals. So we've had opportunities to talk about that. But I think that, yeah, that level of support that is external to the school district is, in my opinion, has been unprecedented. I haven't seen it in any of my other careers or any of my other school districts. So it's a very, very nice opportunity to come into.
You know, a lot of the challenges that you face are almost sometimes outside of what we would call the education system, in the sense that, you know, you're responsible for the safety and well-being of so many students and teachers. I know that there's many programs that the township and the school board does that, quite frankly, we're not going to talk about.
Right.
But why don't you just talk a little briefly about, you know, the security that we do provide for the schools and how we work together? Well,
you know, obviously we've undertaken construction of physical security entrances at each of our school. And there certainly has been active conversation even before I arrived at East Brunswick with the Township of East Brunswick and the police department about what those security entrances should look like. And then, of course, we do routine mandated drills that are documented, and, you know, they're monitored by the East Brunswick Police Department. So members of your own police department work very closely with the school district about how those drills play out, how we simulate as close to real life as possible, how we analyze our reaction and how we improve that. But there's always that extra piece, and, you know, you and I have talked about how we improve some of that. Visibility of police at our schools. You know, we welcome officers to come to our schools and to walk around the schools. I think it's very important for students to understand the role of a police officer and what they do and how they're there to help them. So that goes a long way toward building that relationship between the township and the school district.
Getting back to, as you said early on in your tours of the elementary schools to date, we know that East Brunswick is truly a melting pot of diversity, you know, in our country and particularly in our state.
Right.
Does that present different challenges from an educational standpoint with respect to certain groups that may not be, you know, each culture has its own strengths and its own weaknesses, so to speak.
Right.
But, you know, we all manage to make it work. But in an educational setting, does that provide different challenges? I think
the only challenge really is having everybody in the organization acknowledge that diversity exists. So we have to ramp up the sensitivity, whether that be cultural or religious, and understanding, you know, different days of observance or different things that are unique to cultures. Even how we respond to parent concerns of questions, we have to take a look and step back sometimes. Maybe an answer might be offensive to a certain culture in the way that we deliver it. So we have to kind of look internally in how we do that. And about translation, we have a number of parents in our district who English is not their first language. And they're bringing their students to this country, and they're immersed into programs so they can learn English. But we understand that the students will be the primary English speakers within the family and become translators for the family later on. So the translation, making sure that we're communicating information accurately, probably is one of the biggest challenges for us.
We talked a little bit about technology and how even the young children today with their iPads and everything have really blossomed into technology that's still foreign to me. But there's also weaknesses that come with the technology because, as I said earlier on, you lose sometimes that face-to-face human contact.
Right.
And sometimes it's easy to hide behind the internet, so to speak, as an anonymous figure. And I'm sure that, as children are not quite sometimes as mature as they should be, it gives them, unfortunately, an opportunity to act inappropriately.
Right.
I know anti-bullying has become really a central part of what the school system helps teach and develop with our children. Why don't you mention some of the ways that that is happening?
Well, obviously we, as you mentioned, we're a melting pot, so we have a lot of diversity, not only in terms of culture and religion, but in terms of financial ability to provide resources to children. And sometimes with that, children believe that what they do with their device in a web-based society is going to be it's going to be anonymous, that they can take pictures and delete them and they'll never be seen again, or they can make comments about somebody and delete them and they'll never be seen again. The technology is getting to the point that people are savvy users of that technology. They can take screenshots, they can share with other people even if you thought it was an anonymous. IP addresses can be traced to people. So I think there has to be an awareness that things that we do and travel on the internet, they truly do stay there forever. And so when you make a decision to put something out, I think we just have to keep educating our students about thinking about what it is they're putting out. What are they putting out about themselves? What are they putting out about their friends? Because when you hit send or you hit submit or you post, it's pretty much out there. Somebody will have captured it even if you think you can delete it. And obviously cyberbullying is a huge issue in terms of investigation. It's complex to investigate. It takes a lot of resources. But we want to make sure that we provide the safety net for our children and our families. And once again, families have to be involved. They need to monitor, at least at home, the technology their children are using. Because in my experience, children get very savvy. They can create multiple Facebook sites. I had the unfortunate experience in a prior position where a sixth grader was able to clone a Facebook site and able to take pictures from other people's sites and create another site where she used that to bully other students. And it was very complex, but it was technology that a sixth grader could master. So I think parents need to be aware of that, and we're hoping to have forums and have ways for parents to understand how this technology can impact their children. And I look forward to opportunities to collaborate with East Brunswick Police Department to offer those seminars to parents.
Lieutenant Zebro does a wonderful job, and we also have our community policing program. But I agree with you that this is another avenue that we do work together in. I think sometimes residents tend to forget how well we do work with each other. The school board and yourself are a separate institution.
Right.
But many of the things that we do quietly behind the scenes. We don't really, it's not our job to kind of promote how well we work together.
Right.
But I do think the residents need to remind every now and then that, we are one entity in the sense that we both are trying to provide the best services that we can to our own constituents, whether it's a school child or, an elderly couple living at home with no children.
Right.
We're out there as both organizations to provide the best for them.
Right. And I think it's impactful for us to understand, and I keep reinforcing and will continue to do so, that we have an entire population in East Brunswick that we support and we serve as a school community where parents may no longer have children in schools, but yet they're still paying taxes, and a large majority of those taxes go to support our school districts, so they become our constituents as well, even though they may not or they may currently not have children in the school district.
And look, there's people that don't have children in the school district, and they're usually elderly people that may be on fixed income or on their retirement.
Right.
And they'll always sit there and say, why do we have to continue to pay, school taxes? And first I'll explain, well, that's just what the law is until the state changes it. There's nothing to do about it. Right. But I also remind them that, in my opinion, you're educating a future doctor, a future engineer, someone who will continue to benefit you in your role in life. And as a society, we owe our obligation to educate our youth no matter what our position in life is.
Right. And I think, you know, I believe I work for a very supportive Board of Education, and I believe they all believe, and with all their heart, as well as I do, that we are a symbiotic relationship between the school district and the township. We have to work to create a great environment in the township so people will either stay here or want to move here. Great schools bring great people. They increase property values. So one thing leads to another, and I know that relationship becomes more tightly wound with the relationship that you and I have from our positions, because we have to share information back and forth, and like you said, we do that quietly behind the scenes and sometimes in very informal settings like over lunch or something like that. Which I think is a great forum to exchange ideas. But you know, the schools become an important part, an important element of what makes a great community, and we have to understand that role.
I know it's really not an East Brunswick issue in the sense of you know, the Board of Education, but what's your views on, like, as college expenses just continue to literally climb through the roof, it's becoming more and more difficult for students who are graduating to afford colleges.
Right.
It's just very frustrating for many parents. You know, they talk about it, and you know, it's reaching the point sometimes, you know, to go to college, it's just, you know, you're coming out of debt maybe with $200,000 of debt and relatively few job opportunities, although the market's opened up a little bit. But what advice do you have for students and parents in that position?
Well, I think that, you know, parents have to look at all the avenues. I think that, and certainly during the economic downturn, a lot of parents were struggling during that time, and saving for college probably wasn't their top priority. Yet, as you say, and very accurately, the college expenses are quite high. I've been talking with parents who are looking at colleges for their students with price tags of tuition alone of $40,000 or greater. And for most families, that's just not even affordable. And certainly there are student loans, but that debt that a student will carry beyond graduation without a guarantee of a job is quite a burden to carry. I think the local community colleges are doing a great job of providing opportunities for students to get 2 years of college credit under their belt and then transferable to a 4-year university or college. And I think those are avenues that people have to continue to look at. In terms of East Brunswick, I know that we offer a variety of advanced placement courses. So, and we have a lot of participation in those and a lot of success in passing the advanced placement exam, which gives students college credit, which means those are credits parents don't have to pay for in college. And I think as we prepare our students for college and the readiness for college and career, things that we can do to emulate what they're going to experience in college will not only guarantee their success to a higher degree, but it will also refine a student's focus on what they want to do in college, so they can possibly accomplish college in 4 years rather than going on the 5 or 6 year plan.
And then switching to the end of the spectrum, I mean, East Brunswick now offers the full-day kindergarten, and I was actually reading an article this weekend where one of the things they were talking about was for those individuals that like to give philanthropically, not so much to put your money at the college level, but try to provide more funds for the K and the pre-K programs, because that's really where education needs to be formalized and started to really get the impetus down the road. How do you feel about the program here in East Brunswick with respect to the full-day kindergarten?
Well, I think the full-day program is a great program, and I think full-day is obviously the optimum approach for kindergarten, because those students come in, even in preschool, students come in and their minds are like sponges. They absorb so much. And the quality of people that we have in our full-day kindergarten program, I believe that when students finish that full-day kindergarten and move on to first grade, they're not only good students, but they develop a love of learning. And I think that's the one piece that is so important at that age, is that school can be fun. And if school is fun and we provide opportunities to teach in that environment where it isn't, you're learning, but it doesn't feel like you're learning. It feels more like fun or interaction or collaboration. And that's really the push that education has made, that I think is so responsive, and I think is such a smart move, that it's not about the lecture and it's not about the the drill and kill exams that you and I may have known in our careers. It's more about collaboration. It's about working together. It's about teamwork and project building, and not always having one answer, that there are multiple answers to the same problem, and investigating what people's outcomes are, or what students' outcomes are, and how they are different, but they still come to the same result. So I think that's building a cadre of students who will go on and serve us well after they graduate from high school and they go into college, and they take care of us as we get older.
I also like the fact that, you know, I've now seen a couple generations go by here in my time here in East Brunswick, that so many of our students that went to East Brunswick and then went on to college actually come back as teachers.
Right.
You know, I think that speaks again about the quality of East Brunswick and the fact that they want to continue as educators now, giving back to the community.
Absolutely, and it's always nice when you have people who are part of the organization, who understand the organization, come back and are infused into that organization. And then we kind of mix it up. We have people from outside the organization who have always looked at East Brunswick, and East Brunswick comes with this very, very high standard, and they want to be part of it. And so we have a lot of candidates for every position that we have available, which is good for us.
Again, you use the word outsider, and I'll finish our interview with that. Again, you came in as an outsider. I think that, from my perspective, having done so much from an organizational standpoint, that probably presented you with some unique opportunities that may not have been available if you'd come from within.
Right. Right. Even though I came from New Jersey, I came from southern New Jersey, where we had.
Oh, we don't count that.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. So, but it was a growing school district. So it was a district, and what people had told me 25 years ago was traditionally farmland, and so we had our own unique challenges with this phenomenal growth. And I think that, you know, coming new into the district, I had some ideas that I brought from that district and some ideas I brought from every district that I worked for. And then the current times, looking at what we have to do, what our challenges are, and how we can apply, once again, some business solutions to some of the things that we do. And as I tell parents at back to school night, and we still want to maintain that feel that when you walk into an elementary school, it's an elementary school. It's not just a business, you know, or a middle school or junior high school or high school. These are still students, and they need to have that experience, and I want them to walk away feeling like they had the best experience ever at East Brunswick.
Well, Dr. Valeski, I want to first again welcome you to East Brunswick.
Thank you.
I know that in the short time that you've been here, you know, I've had an opportunity to talk many times privately, and you know, I know that from everything I've heard from parents and teachers alike, since the school's opened up and had an opportunity to work with you, you're doing a wonderful job.
Well, thank you.
You know, I know that you've been out in the community. As you said, you've gone to the back to school nights, and I think that's great that you're out there in the community. And as leaders, you know, we learn more many times being out in the community and getting that spontaneous feedback that's much more valuable than someone sending, you know, an email sometimes.
Right.
So again, I want to welcome you. I know you're doing a great job, and I'm looking forward to working with you for many, many years.
Thank you, Mayor.
Right. I appreciate everyone taking an opportunity to meet Dr. Valeski, and you know, you're always welcome to attend a Board of Education meeting, and certainly call his office at any time if there's a question that concerns you or your child's education. I can assure you that he's going to give you, you know, whatever time you need to further their education. He's very open and a welcome addition to East Brunswick. Again, thanks for watching, and have a great day.